Plane mode. Switch button.
Hi everyone, it's Penny Stevenson here again from Footpaths to Freedom. And this is our second part of the tutorial on how to use Transit. And today I'm actually going to start by looking at the options screen. So if you remember from our first one, when the app starts, the voiceover focus is on the tracking button, which is in sort of the middle left-hand part of the screen. We're actually going to go and look for the options button, which is in the top right-hand corner of the screen underneath your battery status sort of icon.
100% about options button.
So all I did was I took my finger to the top right-hand corner and just brought it down a little bit. You could also achieve the same thing if you're on the tracking button.
Activate tracking itinerary button.
If you flick right from tracking, you get to itinerary,
Search
line and destination, and then options. Okay, so we're going to go into the options button.
Selected profile button 1 of 3. Selected segmented profile button 1 of 3.
Okay, so what that's telling us is that there's 3 parts to this screen. There's the sort of profile bit.
Options button 2 of 3.
Options button 2 of 3.
About button.
3 button. Okay, so let's have a look.
Selected segmented profile button.
Segmented profile. Let's have a look at what this actually says. I'm just going to keep flicking right past the other 2 options menus.
Options about back button.
So the back button actually on this screen is in the top right-hand corner, which is a little bit stranger than what usually happens.
Total riders helped. Use Go to help other riders. Get more accurate departure times. 0.
So at the moment, I haven't used this new feature of Go where we crowdsource our information.
Go Hub info. My transit lines.
Okay, so it's going to tell me if I've saved any as favourites.
780.
So I've saved my 780 as my favourite. So that's all that this sort of screen is going to tell me about. So I'm going to go back up.
Selected segmented profile button 1 of 3.
And now I'm going to flick right to the options, which is probably the one that is most useful to you. Although on this segmented profile bit, you can actually add and modify your favourites, but you can do that from other parts of the app as well.
Selected options 2 of 3.
Okay, so let's go and have a look through this list.
About back show on map enabled. Double tap to disable.
I tried disabling it and I don't seem to see any difference in what happens with voiceover or what even I can see visually, so I've just left that on.
Set home. Tap to set this suggestion as your location.
So you can save sort of 2 favourite places, as one is your home and one is your work, and they don't necessarily have to be home or work. You could save them as 2 favourite places that you go most often and you just remember which one's which, but it just means that you can type them in a bit more quickly. They'll appear up the top of the search bar so that they're easy to find and you don't have to type them in.
Set work. Add location.
You can also
set this suggestion as your location.
You can also add some other locations. I have not done that yet with this app.
Train enabled. Double tap to expand actions of train.
So this next section
double tap to expand actions available
is where you can choose what modes of transport are shown by the app. I haven't actually seen what is underneath this. So I'm just going to
enabled. NSW train link. Metropolitan train V/line.
Okay, so we've got NSW train link, Metropolitan train, and V-line. So I suppose if I don't ever use V-line trains, I could take that out. If I don't use NSW trains, I could take that out, but I just leave them all checked because obviously it won't show you anything if you're not in that vicinity.
Tram Metropolitan tram.
Yep, so trams, I've got that. Buses,
double tap to
again, I haven't seen.
Victoria Regional Bus, Metropolitan Bus at V/line.
V-line, oh great, okay, so it shows me all of those buses.
Show transit maps, enabled, double tap to disable.
I've also left that show transit maps on because, again, I just haven't seen any change or difference with having that off.
Show accessibility info less than image vertical line wheelchair enabled small vertical line -1 vertical line 0 vertical line FFFFFF.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, so basically what that is saying is, I'm just moving that off so that it stops talking. So the accessibility info will show you any wheelchair accessible stops or services. I ended up turning that off because it just provided a lot of extra voiceover clutter in the information that I was getting. So if I was looking for that kind of service, I would probably use a different app for that just because of the amount of clutter it gave me. So I'd probably use PTV Screen Reader and enable wheelchair accessible on there, or Tram Tracker and do it there, just because I found that it was just talking too much.
Minimize walking, disabled, double tap to enable.
So minimize walking, that basically takes out trips that involve quite a bit of walking between places, to try and just show you public transport routes rather than having to walk. I don't mind walking places, and I realise that it's probably going to be the reality of getting to some of the places that I wanted to go. So I've left that turned off because I'm happy to walk. So then you can also it can also show you the ability to book Uber. And because I don't use Uber, I've turned that off. But, that might be really handy because I'm not sure how it works because I've never tried it, but I suspect it would probably look at where you are and be able to sort of bring that up in the Uber app quite easily. So, that might be really useful.
Bikes, disabled. Double tap to expand actions available.
So, again, that shows you bikes.
Disabled.
Personal bike and show bike paths. I've turned that off because it would also give you bike directions included in there, and I just found that really frustrating because I don't ride.
Walking enabled.
And I've left walking on because I'm a walker.
Special announcements enabled. Double tap to disable.
So that just tells you about any disruptions and things like that. So I've left that on. And then there's a section
push notifications are enabled,
where you can get a test notification. The last tab is the About button. So this is going back up to the top of the screen and finding the About button, and that just shows you information about the app where you can send feedback and things like that. So I'll just quickly go in there.
Selected, About, selected, back, version 4.
So it tells me the version I'm running. Help, contact us, review on the App Store, follow on Twitter, on Facebook, share with friends, work at transit, and that's all that's in that offer. And again, the back button is in the top right hand corner, so I'm going to go out of that. So there are some other times where you'll hear options, and I'm fairly sure that brings you to the same place. So for example, when you're getting directions, there'll be an options button, and I'm fairly sure that it brings you up some of those personal options about like the modes of transport you like using. Well, I'm going to finish here, and I'll do another one soon. Thanks for your time. Bye.
11.